starts in 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Hey there, everybody. This is Cooper from Telepathic Bunny Comics. Dealing with a little bit of echo here. Hold on 1 second. I think I know what the issue is. 1 second. There we go. All right, done. Took care of it. Okay. Well, today we're going to take on the granddaddy. The conspiracy theory that started it all. Actually created the term conspiracy theory. And to help me do this today, I'm going to bring on the usual doofuses that usually offer me no help whatsoever. But I'm bringing them on for a comedy relief, I guess. But anyway, we'll start with the one that's at least a little bit beneficial.
If it's not Scottish, it's crap!
Thank you. I think. I think. Yes. I'll take that as thanks. I'm not a complete doofus, but I'm almost there. Right. How are you?
Well,
How are you?
You're closer than the other two. I'll just say that. All right. Anyway. Okay, let's bring on Mr. Undecided himself. This gentleman right here.
Abby someone. Abby someone. Abby who? Abby normal.
It was the CIA. Fade to black, run credits.
Yeah.
Game over, man.
Can you hold off for a few minutes? Just a few minutes, okay? I got a full hour I gotta get through here.
Us slackers on this stream need to be heard.
Speaking of stream slackers,
Sir, nobody worries about upsetting a droid.
That's because a droid don't pull people's arms out of their sockets when they lose. Wookiees are known to do that.
Game over, man. Game over. Turn out the lights. The party's over. Oh, Howard.
Yep.
wouldn't let me
There you
go.
go.
Wouldn't let me go, damn it. Anyway.
Technical
All right.
difficulties. You know, technical difficulties for the bunny. He doesn't have opposable thumbs. Too many
bunnies
are known
That
to
is
not have
fake
opposable
news.
thumbs.
fake news. Okay.
That is fake news.
That is
All right.
fake news.
Anyway.
Fake news
Does that mean
again.
we can suspend
Okay.
him?
All right.
All right. What do we
Okay,
got?
no
What do we
problem, no
got? What
problem.
do we got?
All right, we're talking about the conspiracy tonight that created the whole entire term of conspiracy theory. That came from the Warren Commission itself. And tonight we're going to talk about was Lee Harvey Oswald a patsy, or was he the lone gunman, like the Warren Commission likes to say? Anyway, I got a few comments over here. Let me check
Hello,
out. see
B-Dog.
what we got.
B-Dog is in the
All
chat.
right. We already know it was the CIA. I know.
Hey, he posted
Yes,
that this morning.
Okay, all right. Yeah, big dog. Okay.
B-Dog is in the house.
Isn't it bogus?
Oh,
All
Papa
right.
Cotton will come back.
Mm-hmm. Driving home
Yes.
now. Okay. All right.
Unless Salty
Okay.
Crack is streaming tonight. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I can't compete with that.
He's a
So
mod. I think he's
Yeah,
a
you're
mod
his
for
biggest
Salty.
fan,
Well.
and you're always talking about his streams on my streams. But anyway,
Well, 32
Um,
flavors of Nick White are streaming tonight.
Yes, I know that.
so why are you guys advertising for everybody else's streams but ours? You see how counterproductive that is? It's counterproductive.
He's over at the MegaCon. He's not broadcasting tonight.
Who?
I never said
Your
anything.
nemesis.
All right, okay.
I said
Thank
hello,
God for
B-Dog.
small favors.
I said hello, B-Dog. That's it.
A nemesis?
Okay,
Nemesis?
all right.
Okay.
So 35th President John F. Kennedy was doing a tour of the Dealey Plaza in Dallas when half of his head disappeared in a red mist. Which was kind of bad for the country. I guess one would say.
A little bit.
I don't imagine that's a normal occurrence either.
No. We can't really. Now, we did have a brain dead vegetable for president the last 4 years, but
That's also true. Yeah.
It doesn't count when the brain is inside the head. Yeah,
It's true.
but
true.
unfortunately,
Not a
Kennedy's
joke.
was no longer
Not a
inside the head, so they couldn't
Yeah,
they
there's a
couldn't
lot of weird
cover
stuff with
that.
that.
You ain't
Yeah.
black.
Yeah, there you go. Considering
Don't
Jacqueline
sniff 'em.
Kennedy was picking pieces of skull out of her hair like hours afterwards, it was
Yeah.
pretty significant.
Yep.
That there was damage
Yep.
done.
Yep.
But anyway, so just a few hours later, they were dragging this young man into the spotlight, saying that he was the man. That the gun that he's holding in his hand right there happened to be the aforementioned murder weapon, and that in less than just a few hours later, after the first interview, a local bartender named Jack Ruby, known to the cops, walked right up and put a 38 into his stomach.
Yep,
And
exactly.
Yeah.
the trigger. And suddenly we were, the Warren Commission's like, oh well, nothing to see here. The guy who did it all is gone, and so close the door.
There was
All right.
Right.
there was an FBI agent I saw in a video earlier who gave testimony that he's dead now. He can't testify. Get rid of this. It was like a letter. So yeah, totally nothing strange.
No.
Nothing strange there. No.
And also,
But,
what the video I saw, or one of them I saw earlier, was pretty interesting. Was the fact that the car was coming round past like a sign, and
Yeah.
JFK reacted to a gunshot, and the idea of Lee Harvey Oswald acting alone is kind of debunked because the rifle he was using by the time the car comes round past the other sign again and the other shot hits, he wouldn't have had time to reload his rifle. It's just the bolt action rifle. It wouldn't have been quick enough. So that was a pretty interesting thing.
Go ahead.
The rifle that he had was a Manlinker Carcano that he got mail
It's an
order.
Italian.
An Italian, Italian military rifle.
Mm-hmm.
But it had a flaw or some sort of a hiccup in the bolt system, so it actually slowed him down into to eject the cartridge and set a new one in the chamber ready to go. So that slowed him down.
So that's even worse then. Yeah, he wouldn't have been able to
and supposedly he got 3 shots off.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
That's what the Warren Commission stated. 3
and
shots.
one of the shots is supposed to have done 7 points of damage because it's gone right through JFK and it's hit the guy in the front, gone through his neck or shoulder, right out through his leg, through his wrist.
Right. So, Governor Connolly was
right.
And then that became the magic bullet because that's the bullet that they found on his gurney in the hallway of the hospital when he was laying there. Oh, look, we found this pristine freaking bullet.
And the FBI agent found the bullet and put it on the gurney, and that was, I suppose, for a point of reference for the autopsy.
And it had the same striations as the gun recovered from Oswald's residence, which was a little strange because it passed through so many things. And but yeah, it was it wasn't misshapen at all. It was like a perfect bullet. So
where did they recover the rifle? I thought they found the rifle up at the floor that supposedly was the nest. The sniper's nest.
Yeah, I would have thought
you could be right.
No, I mean, I know that I know he bolted. I know he bolted and hid in a theater or something. So they caught up with him in a theater.
Funny thing about all of that. There was a lot of witnesses that saw him in multiple locations at the same time.
Right.
And they saw him at the book depository having lunch at just a few minutes before the president was shot. He was seen there by other employees having lunch. He was also seen by somebody when he went upstairs to the Coke machine to get a Coke.
Right.
And came back down.
Yeah.
And then he was seen at the theater, but 2 or 3 different people saw him at the theater in different places of the theater. One person saw him being tackled by the cops at the front of the theater where they officially arrested him. And then somebody saw him at the back of the theater going out the back door, escorted by another guy. But they were both Lee Harvey Oswald.
Right.
So what the hell is going on there?
Yeah, you're right. The bolt action rifle was discovered at the 6th floor of the depository.
Right. That's the way to say it. It looked pretty strange him walking out the building with that thing. So just to take it home, just for it to be found.
Right. Well, that's where he was working. Okay. And they also charged him. Well, they also charged him with murdering a police officer.
Tibbetts. Tibbetts.
JD Tibbetts.
But that one there, again, it goes back to the doppelganger situation as well. Because at the same time that JD Tibbetts, at the same time that encounter took place and supposedly Oswald shot him, Oswald was seen somewhere else at the same freaking time.
Right.
Yeah. And also, he tapped him. He tapped him 3 times in the chest and 1 in the head. That's a professional hit.
Yeah, it is.
Time Prophet. The Time Prophet's doing it.
Professional hit.
The Time Prophet's doing it.
Of course it is.
He's not here yet. We can't blame him for anything.
Okay.
Whatever.
But anyway, so well, so okay, so what we're
What is that
what
playing
we're
in the
led to
background?
believe. Okay, let me give his background here. Oswald's
I'm hearing some
background.
I'm hearing background noise, like a TV
Yeah, so am I.
or something is on.
I don't
Let's
hear
got
it.
the TV
I think
on.
it's coming from
Turn the
Abby.
TV.
What's the matter?
Okay.
I think there's a. Are you?
can
You
hear
have a
the
TV or
telly.
something on in the background?
No, the damn neighbors across the street had radio on. They just turned it off.
Okay.
Oh.
They're
what it was?
moving,
Bloody
so
Okay, so
goody.
can we get back to the subject, Wookie? All right, can we get back to the subject? Can we
Yes.
focus?
The subject is my
Okay.
drink taste good with or without alcohol?
No,
With.
that's not the
With.
subject. That's not the subject. Okay.
All right. Let's get back to who killed
And
Kennedy.
don't ask Abby that because Abby's always going to say yes, drink more. So
yes, drink more. Yes,
Yeah.
have some.
Yes. Yes.
so anyway,
All right.
and I closed my tab. Damn it! Where's my tab at?
So
And of course, there's
Anyway,
the idea
so-
that there's the idea that the shots came from completely the opposite direction from where Lee Harvey Oswald was. So
Yes.
that's another bit of a question. So
Well, okay. Well, he was placed in juvenile detention 12 for truancy. He attended 12 schools in his youth. Age 17, joined the Marines, where he was court-martialed twice and jailed. Discharged from active duty and to the reserve. Flew to Europe, defected to the Soviet Union, lived in Minsk, married a Russian woman named Marina. Had a daughter in June 1962, returned to the United States with a wife. Settled in Dallas, Texas, where the second daughter was born. And he shot and killed, they say he shot and killed Kennedy November 22nd, 1963 from sixth floor window. However, you know, his record in the Marine Corps was that he was not exactly a good shot.
yeah,
So
his thing was he had
And,
what I learned recently is that he had what was called a crypto clearance because where he was stationed during the Marine Corps, he was he had something to do with electronics. Either he was I think he was communications, and
Right.
so
Okay.
he was in communication with all the U-2 planes in Japan that were flying around. So he had
right.
he had the top classified clearance.
Well, see, the way
to work that job.
they got around that was they said that when he went to Russia, the KGB gave him like training in sniping and things like that.
okay.
But so
yeah,
I mean, that's the way
and
they
then
got
later
around
the
that.
Russians.
Yeah.
Well, after when the Soviet Union fell, it came out that the Russians knew he was a plant because you see, when he came back to the United States, he immediately got his passport back and he got some money. He didn't go to jail for being a defector.
right.
Now you have to understand, this is the middle
Right.
of the freaking Cold War. Russia is our number one freaking enemy. He defects. All of a sudden, a U-2 plane gets shot down over freaking Russia. He's a guy that deals with YouTube communications
Oh yeah,
and,
that plane
and
thing,
top
yeah.
secret shit. He's
Gary
got
Powers, yeah.
He had a crypto clearance, which is like the top at that time,
Right.
to use that the equipment and stuff like that he was in charge of for his MOS. But he didn't get. I mean, he comes back and it's hunky dory. Oh yeah, here you go. Here's
So,
your passport. Here's the money. See ya. Bye.
So okay, you get some foreign national that travels overseas, defects to a country we're at war with, and then suddenly says, "Oh, I take it back." And then not only does he not face prison time in the United States, but he gets settled somewhere and given startup cash.
Yep.
And,
And the book depository job that he got was given to him.
Yeah,
nice.
like a month before, he suddenly started
something
working
like
at the
that.
book depository. Okay.
Yep.
Wow,
Now,
that's nice.
yeah. So
I know, right?
if he,
That's
if-
nice. Here,
so-
Here, traitor, have a job. It's welcome
Right.
back.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, they do that all the time.
Yeah, and this trip was already planned by Kennedy about a month in advance because you have to do that to schedule the Secret Service walkthroughs and things like that.
But they did change.
So by the time he got that job, go ahead.
The route was changed. The original route did not go through Dealey Plaza at all.
Right.
But
No.
they reevaluated the route, meaning the Secret Service, because they do have a transportation division, and the route and everything supposedly is classified until after he's gone through that route. So yeah, it was changed. It was said it was changed at the last minute. Now, last minute is relative. It could have been last minute the month before. It could have been last minute 2 weeks before, 6 months before. You know, it doesn't matter. It was changed over the original route to specifically go through Dealey Plaza. I think it was because it was faster, apparently, or something.
Well, according
according
to a guy who I'm going to refer to as the real assassin. Well, he said that the interview that I watched, Miles, last name was Miles. But he said that they changed it like right to the last minute, so the Secret Service couldn't adjust because they said there's
makes sense.
So basically, they did a threat. They like said there's a threat in the direction that they were going to go, and so they rerouted it to get away from the threat. But the person who rerouted it was the person that was helping plan the assassination. And so, according to this guy, essentially, if he would have kept on the route that he was going, he would have been out of danger. But because they were moving him away from the danger, they moved him right into the danger. And okay, Lee Harvey Oswald was up to his eyeballs in this. I will say that much. I mean, he was involved with a lot of the principal characters, and he was seen with the weapon that whose ballistics matched up to the bullet they fortunately found that somehow, made its way to the gurney. The cop was murdered within a block of his house. And so this guy, who up to this point had not shown any violence whatsoever, most of his court martials were over laziness and being tardy to things and being insubordinate. But he did not get any court martials for being a psychopath. And so for this guy to suddenly murder a president with a really shitty rifle and make 3 awesome sniper shots on a moving vehicle and hit the target all 3 times.
Yeah.
And then stroll away like someone who's acquainted with violence. Go home, get a pistol, and murder a cop, and then somehow wind up back at the theater where he's arrested.
Yeah.
And oh, by the way, when he murdered the cop, he did it in a way that a professional hitman would have.
Yeah.
3 in the chest, 1 in the head. Which is almost is the formula for
like a mob
assassination. Yeah. So because you go for the chest first because it's the biggest target, and you put through the heart, and then the headshot is kind of like a extra kind of like just to be sure. Yeah. It's the insurance shot. So
Yep.
So the Warren Commission is perfectly okay with this theory that this lone gunman, this wishy-washy, kind of limp-wristed, soft-spoken guy who was known to be unmotivated in a lot of ways, and was
the Warren Commission obviously was pretty much parroting what J. Edgar Hoover was saying, that it was the lone gunman. And what was
now? What does this sound like, though?
I was saying this to Wookie and that just before we came on. That what was pretty interesting about the Warren Commission is one of the guys on there was a former member of the CIA that JFK fired.
Gotcha.
No bias there, you know. So.
Oh, by the way, up to his eyeballs and all this was George W. Bush, or I'm sorry, George Bush the third,
Senior. HW.
I'm sorry, HW.
Yeah. All right.
No new taxes.
And all of this. Yeah, the no new taxes guy.
Yeah, because he was at the CIA.
Yeah.
So okay, so say that there's a really shrimpy, really unmotivated, kind of limp-wristed guy who nobody would think would blow the fuzz off of a peach. Suddenly shows up at the scene that a president's going to be, and with a low-grade rifle, and tries to take the president's head off, and this person has no semblance of violence before, just suddenly shows up and starts showing extreme levels of violence. Does this sound like anything we've heard of recently?
His ability to shoot might be questionable as well. No, it doesn't sound familiar at all.
Doesn't sound familiar at all.
Yeah,
no, there's nothing recent that's happened like that.
Well,
not at all. No.
The other thing with Oswald was he was a Castro sympathizer, and he was passing out propaganda in New Orleans. That got Jim Garrison involved in this whole thing with trying to find out who the killer was, and then you had people like Clay Shaw and all these other reprobates that showed up, and then he took the trial. And that was documented in the movie. So
right.
Several people that Jim Garrison had come to him with information, witnesses that were fairly close to what was going on inside certain government entities. He kept one person specifically. He never brought them forward. He kept them hidden, like big time, buried deep.
Right.
And as soon as that person did surface, they were taken out.
Yeah.
And everybody who had any connection to anybody, and I don't care how far down the ladder it was, they were taken out.
Right.
Because they couldn't have any.
Well,
there's the hallmark of the agency. They take everybody out,
Yeah.
Well,
there was a. Go ahead.
The CIA was also interested in taking out Castro at the time as well. So, JFK was opposed to the interference by the military-industrial complex and the intelligence agencies with all these other countries and wars and stuff. So,
because he didn't trust the CIA, because he felt he was pushed into the Bay of Pigs fiasco. He didn't want to go into Cuba.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, a certain gentleman named James E. Files in 1994, former soldier and mob associate, claimed to have been the guy on the grassy knoll. And there's two different interviews online. You can find them easily. One from 94, one from 2003, which he died shortly after the one from 2003. And where he talked about the fact that Lee Harvey Oswald kind of showed him around Dallas. Yeah, we're going to take out the military complex. Yeah.
Exactly.
But showed him around Dallas and kind of like helped him kind of like police his brass when he was test firing the gun that he used. When the gun had a mercury round, which would have showed up if they had the brain of JFK, which disappeared, by the way.
I see. Seriously disappeared. President's brain
mysteriously
gone.
Disappeared. The whole brain just disappeared. Yeah.
Well, that happens all the time.
Well,
you know this.
What was
I mean, on top of the supposedly casket that was used that transported JFK in Air Force One and then came off of Air Force One, there was another casket that came off of Air Force One after everybody left. And it was a casket that was a common metal military casket that Vietnam soldiers were brought back home in. It was a plain, like brushed aluminum, brushed metal casket.
We get it. Go ahead.
No, that casket came to the hospital before the other casket did. However, that was the casket that a person who was working an autopsy said that they pulled Kennedy's body out of, because he had recognized those caskets from people being brought in from the military for the coroner. Okay.
Well, this guy James E. Files was showed the picture from the autopsy, and he said that would be that's not Kennedy, because he would be missing half of his head, and the picture had like there's a lot of hair right there, and he's like, no, his head that would have been.
And there was another thing with the Kennedy with the body. That there was a fight at the hospital because the CIA and the Secret Service were trying to get the body out of the hospital. The doctors were like, no, under Texas law, the autopsy has to be done here.
Yep, absolutely.
Right. And there was a fight, and the feds took the body back, and it was done by all these, military type surgeons who had never done an autopsy, had no knowledge on how to do one. And that's where you get all these conflicting reports, medical reports from the autopsy. Nothing makes sense.
That might explain then why there's the conflicting reports with different wounds in different places and stuff like. Yeah. I saw that as well.
Well,
there was different reports.
The video, my downloader kind of like screwed up on me a little while ago. But I managed to get one video that I think will play on YouTube.
Cool.
So this will explain the single bullet, theory. So here we go.
The FBI concluded that all 3 bullets struck inside the car.
He was hit by the first and the third. The second shot hit the governor. The third shot tore a large part of the president's head off.
The Warren Commission put itself in a straitjacket. They could not possibly allow more than 3 shots, because 4 shots or more would have clearly indicated conspiracy, and they were not going there.
I was standing down under the underpass. On the curb, there was very visible mark where a bullet had struck. Either a fragment of the bullet scratched my face.
Records show the first shot had missed its target completely, and the final shot hit Kennedy in the head. So how does one account for 1 bullet hitting 2 victims and doing all this damage? Arlen Specter was a Yale Law School graduate working in the Philadelphia District Attorney's Office when he was asked to serve on the Warren Commission.
What if 1 bullet made all 7 wounds? Arlen Specter, he is the one that gave birth to the single bullet theory. What if 1 bullet went into Kennedy's back and came out his neck, and then went into Connolly's back, piercing the lung, destroying 4 inches of the right 5th rib, exiting from the front of his chest, going into the back of the wrist, shattering the distal end of the radius, and a 6'4" guy like Connolly, that's a big, heavy bone, comminuted fracture, exits from the front of the wrist, goes into his left thigh. Whatever you want, whatever you need, this bullet happily and readily obliges you. It is indeed a magic bullet.
CE 399 was the magic bullet, and all government investigations so far have treated that bullet as absolutely foundational to this case.
Oh yeah. One bullet defying the laws of fucking gravity, physics, and everything else.
And look how pristine that bullet looks.
Just a mere scratch on it, and that's all.
One of the
Going
videos
through
that
bone and everything else.
One of the videos I watched earlier said that it's possible that one of the bullets, perhaps, what's the word they use? Underpowered due to something. So that might be why it's intact. I'm not sure if it would do that much damage, though.
If you're going through like dense bones and stuff like that,
one thing
you're
about
gonna have some discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah, but one thing about bullets that people tend to misunderstand is to fly through the air. Bullets are not made out of hard metal. They're made out of the softest, lightest metals possible.
Yeah.
And because of that,
jacketed lead.
you know, that all the CSI shows just lie to you. Most of the time, the bullets you get are pancakes or misshapen lumps.
Or flowers.
Very,
yeah.
Very rarely, unless you fire it into a water tank, which is what they do to check ballistics, will you ever get a bullet that you can match up striations on. And yet, all the bullets that they, quote, recovered had perfect striations to match up to the Kokoran. Or whatever it was called.
Of course they would find that.
Of course.
Everything about that whole thing was a freaking magical wonder tour.
Bullets, of course, often fragment upon impact as well. There's that thing too.
Well, there's two different. Okay, well, there's two different interviews you guys need to see on the internet. James E. Files did two interviews, and there was also another interview with another gentleman who said he was there at the assassination, but he was there on the advanced team. And one of the things he did as an part of the advanced team was getting these really cheap rifles and working the rifles to where they would work and fire and adapt them for a bigger round. And and that they were the cheapest rifles you can get. They were like these rifles were just he kept just reiterating the fact that they were shit. Okay. And he kept mentioning names and the same names that Files was mentioning. And there's a lot of crossover. And then Files mentioned that every single one of those gangland figures were murdered within 5 years. So every single one of them.
Oh, yeah.
And he had multiple attempts on his life before they put him in jail. And so there was like moments of witness intimidation where FBI was like basically questioning people. And there was this one girl who's like, I heard 4 shots. And the FBI said, you heard 3 shots? And then her boyfriend, she started insisting on 4, and her boyfriend said, no, you heard 3 shots. And she's like, I'm mistaken. I heard 3 shots. And then they let him go. And the one guy that insisted had a home invasion about 2 weeks later where he got shot in the chest with 2 buckshot, double barrel, 12-gauge buckshot, both barrels at point blank range. Somebody just blew him away at his door front. And didn't rifle through his house. They just showed up at his home and just like some random person,
Seth Witch style.
Just yeah, exactly. And And it's just like the more you go, the more dead bodies you find surrounding this thing. And that guy who, the other guy, that was part of the advanced team, died 8 days after he gave that interview. And if you look at that interview, that guy looked in the prime of health. I mean, he did not look sickly at all. And then 8 days later.
Oh, yeah. The amount of people that dropped dead either by being shot or just had heart attacks or some other mysterious way.
Right.
Is incredible. The amount of bodies that piled up.
Files said what happened with J.D. Tippin was the guy that they sent to murder Oswald, the guy they sent to kill him. Basically, a cop was like heading to Oswald's house because he was the person of interest. And whatever. Up yours, Will. Anyway, it's my show, damn it. All right. But the guy that
where's the good stuff when you need them?
I'm serious. But the guy who was like he was also a gangland assassin or a hitman. He basically panicked and killed the cop because he was afraid that they were going to knock. Basically, he was looking for Oswald, and he ran across the cop, and the cop evidently recognized him as a person of interest. The cop was well known as being very intuitive, and he must have saw the guy and said, that guy doesn't belong in Dallas, and must have given him some trouble, and the guy just murdered the shit out of him. But then they pinned that to Oswald to kind of like close the loop. And if you watch the interview with Oswald, you can tell that Oswald did have some shiftiness to him, because he was involved in this, but he did not expect himself to be the patsy. No, because because there were times where he was just like he had like a script he was following, but then somebody would knock him off the script, and he would just have this real bewildered look on his face. Yeah. And then 2 days later, Jack Ruby just strolled into it's supposed to be a highly secured prisoner transfer to the number one, like, important person of interest in the whole entire country, and just and shot him in the stomach with a .38.
Killed him.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. That there's something that's pretty ironic is the fact that he was taken to the same hospital as JFK.
Yeah,
and one of the other things that's pretty ironic as well is that it was discussed that they wanted to release all the information about this so that people wouldn't speculate, but they didn't, and they speculated anyway and have done for decades. Go figure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is why.
Well, they tried to shut down all speculation.
Yeah.
Well, they tried to shut down all speculation by calling it conspiracy theories.
Well, exactly.
Oh yeah.
Which they could have avoided if they just released
That's
the information
where the term
anyway.
comes from.
But the video that I saw, anyway, it had suggested that that some of the information that's being released doesn't really give too much info or suggest that there was another gunman, but it's just so much weird shit.
Well, you've got almost 50 years, 50 plus years, almost 60 years, actually, over 60 years of time for documents to be altered, destroyed, gone missing.
Yeah.
Okay. A lot of the evidence, a lot of the conclusions, actually, let me back up. A lot of the testimony and evidence that was presented to the Warren Commission that contradicted the three-shot theory, the lone gunman theory, was all rejected.
It's all gone.
No matter how concrete the evidence was or plausible, it was denied to be entered into the report.
I knew that name. Arlen Specter. I knew that name.
Yeah, he was an old freaking senator. Yeah, he was an asshole.
Yeah. He was chair of the Senate Intelligence Committee from 95 to 97.
Yeah.
And and he was longest running
he would have
senator from Pennsylvania. So
he would have had access to all of that information, especially since he did serve on the Warren Commission.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a snake.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, so I also saw this video. I was trying to parse it before, and I ran out of time. But in that video, it showed Oswald being loaded onto a gurney, and he was struggling to get off the gurney. And it reminded me a lot of Anne Heche.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Where they're literally like fighting her to put her into the back of the ambulance, and then later on we find out, she died of head injury.
Yeah.
Or whatever it was. Yeah, that's right.
Well, no, they dragged her. They pulled her out of there. She was supposedly deceased at that point.
Yeah.
No, that's right.
They had her completely.
They said that she died
at the scene.
But then you see her fighting. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you see her pop up and trying to push.
No, you're right.
They claim, well, that's just some kind of like muscle reaction. No, it ain't. Bullshit.
It's like, bring out your dead. Hold on, I'm not dead yet.
Exactly.
Bring out your dead.
I'm not dead yet. Yeah. So,
well,
that's quite interesting.
Well, abdominal injury or getting shot in the gut is not normally fatal.
No.
And if it did, I mean, even if you perforate the intestine, it still is not that. It takes a long time for somebody to die, and they declared him dead within a matter of hours.
I mean, outside of that bullet hitting his spinal column and making him a paraplegic.
Yeah,
it's not.
But that would have been fatal either.
No, and something just didn't sound right. But that whole situation where he was shot,
Yeah. I think what they wanted was an injury that would put him in basically medical jeopardy, and then that way they could just quietly take care of him, But Jack Ruby said something really strange before he died. He said that those who have put me in this situation are not going to be free from the from the court, or free from judgment in the afterlife or something, or in the other life or something like that. I can't remember what he said. He basically insinuated that he was forced into this, and that those people would pay in the next world. But he died. He was dying of cancer, the super cancer that just like ate him alive, and just a little while. But once again, it's really suspicious shit going on. But it seems like every time somebody speaks up, somebody they die, and every time somebody comes up with something new or something like groundbreaking in this case. It's like, unfortunately, they passed away. And it's like, what the hell, And I expect, we're about to get these JFK, MLK, RFK files, and I guess they're probably going to be so freaking redacted that probably read 2 or 3 lines more. But either way, when you look at the parallels between this and Butler, Pennsylvania, they are extraordinarily glaring.
You have, absolutely,
So we were just talking about the fact that every
successful.
It wasn't successful,
and
but they killed
the fact it wasn't successful. The fact it wasn't successful is extraordinary, and just a fluke. And oh, by the way, afterwards, suddenly Joe Biden can't be the presidential candidate anymore. And
here he is.
Yeah,
here he is. All right,
Yeah.
Time Prophet.
Days later, the guy who
Time Prophet.
they were ride or die on. So.
All right, Time Prophet.
Oh God,
we got a new person in the chat.
yeah. Anyway,
hello there.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hey, what's up? Good
Prophet
Africa getting
in
so,
the house.
so weird.
Welcome,
Yeah.
Time Prophet. Thank you for being
All right.
here. I've just
Anyway,
come from-
well, it's a good time
Yes.
to wrap up the show.
I've come from the grassy knoll.
It's spelled Knoll. I'm
No.
disappointed in you.
No.
Anyway. All right. So basically, you know, when you see the parallels between this and the Butler, Pennsylvania, like the appearance of the press, like every press corps was suddenly had their cameras on.
Right.
It's what was supposed to be just a president going by in a limousine. Suddenly, all the press around the world was carrying this one thing. There you go.
Harvey Oswald was the original parkour. Yes,
it could be.
Yeah, we can read. We can read.
I think. Okay, so
anyway,
going to the number of gunmen possible.
So basically, all the press was there. Anything of the actual damage except for this guy named Zapruder who had his own camera.
Hey, Cotton, hello.
Go ahead.
All right, Cotton, how you doing?
What were you saying?
What?
It is.
You on a delay?
You were saying something. Yeah, no, you were saying something. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say earlier that the number of gunmen, I think, were more than. No, you're on a delay, man. You're on a time delay.
Well, go ahead. Say what you're going to say.
What I was going to say was.
Well, my internet bottomed out for a second. So go ahead.
Yeah, the number of gunmen, I feel, was more than 2. I believe that there was 3 minimum and possibly a 4th. But yeah, Lee Harvey Oswald, in my opinion, was set up because he was probably more than likely a CIA asset right out of the Marine Corps. That's why he went automatically to the USSR, defected supposedly, came back to the United States, got a freaking passport back, got some funding, got a job, was given a job, with no repercussions or anything. It was definitely known by the federal government. So, but I don't know. There's at least a triangulated. There's a triangulated kill zone. You either use an L kill zone, an L shape, or a triangular shape. The triangular shape, if I'm not mistaken, was even mentioned in a movie many decades ago called Executive Action, which was starred. What the fuck's that guy's name? Burt Lancaster. So Burt Lancaster was a politician or a person in government that his character was the one that orchestrated, along with other people, the assassination of John F. Kennedy. But the movie's called Executive Action. And I think what they did, they were looking at using a triangulated kill zone to take Kennedy out at Dealey Plaza. That required somebody to be at the grassy knoll, somebody to be at the angle that Oswald was, but not the same building, because the building across the street from that depository building, they were right next to each other. The angle from the window, like the whatever story window, 3rd, 4th story window, that angle was a better angle of line of sight to shoot from Kennedy in the middle of the street where he was. Whereas Oswald's position had trees and other obstructions in it, so it made his timing very critical to pull off a shot from there. But I don't think he could have pulled off 3 consecutive shots from that position with the car moving like it was. from the other building, absolutely.
That could explain the shot that hit the pavement.
Right. You have the curb, but then also the when Kennedy grabbed his neck, that's when you first noticed he was in distress. That was the shot in the neck. But that was an entry wound right there. Even the doctors at the hospital said that was, they see trauma gunshots all the time. He said that's an entry wound, about the size of the tip of your finger, as an entry wound. That means it was a frontal shot. I think there was somebody near the bridge, near that overpass.
I think there was somebody on the overpass.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, on the overpass. Then you had the grassy knoll, and then you had the other guy in the other building. That's your triangle right there. There's too many missed shots. And also, there was a photo taken of his limousine.
The limousine driver.
There's a photo taken after everything was said and done. They took a picture of the cross beams that hold the glass up, the windshield. It's chrome on the inside. There was a bullet hole. There was a bullet hole in there. Okay? An entry bullet hole. So that means if they're going on the three shot thing, there was definitely more than 3 shots coming from all directions. So you had the people that were standing near the grassy knoll that heard the shot, saw the smoke, many witnesses. And so there was definitely more.
Another thing about the limousine. After the assassination, after they got into Parkland, they took the limousine and they cleaned it and washed it. So all the evidence that was in that limousine,
all the evidence was gone, but they still had to replace that piece of metal that was in the car on the inside of that window frame.
Kind of like the roof on in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, they cleaned it off. Well, you know what happened to that piece of curb? Then they saw that bullet. That was actually a bullet hit that curb. The next day, somebody came out. Yeah, the ricochet. Next day, they came out, chopped that all out, and re-cemented it. Immediately, they got rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, they don't want that there. As soon as someone pointed out,
well, the biggest problem,
and it wasn't the city of Dallas.
No.
Well, the biggest issue that they faced was the fact that they didn't anticipate the Zapruder film.
Right.
They didn't okay it. They didn't. They didn't know that it even existed until. And he was smartly instead of going to the government, went straight to the press. But he went to the independent press and not the corporate media. So
exactly.
But basically. We wouldn't even know that this was how much bullshit this all was without the Zapruder film. So
absolutely. And then Abby just mentioned the driver.
Yeah.
Supposedly there's in the Zapruder film, there's evidence that the driver had a firearm, a semi-automatic pistol that was put over his right shoulder and supposedly shot. That's when the car slowed down the most. When it was almost at a dead shot. That's when Kennedy's headshot happened. And but I've looked, I can't see it, but I wasn't, paying attention to it. But I mean, there's all kinds of different possibilities. And then the thing is, if he's shooting a gun over his shoulder,
so anyway,
his wife is right behind him, and then he's got a Secret Service agent right next to him,
and Connolly.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go ahead and close out our polls. I'll close my poll out. And,
I've only got one. Hey,
right.
If you wouldn't mind so much, people in the chat, if you're on my stream on YouTube, please go into the poll and vote. And remember that debunked means it's confirmed that Lee Harvey Oswald was not he was not a lone gunman. So it's kind of like in reverse. Confirmed means, you believe it was a lone gunman, and debunked means, no, he wasn't alone. So
in the middle means that you think he was a gunman, but he wasn't alone.
Yeah.
Undecided is
undecided is
is
undecided.
It's Abby. It's Abby, pretty much.
Hey now.
All right, ending the poll in 3, 2, 1, end.
Okay.
All right.
I'm ending my poll right now.
Mm-hmm. All right. Three votes, 2 for debunked, and 1 for undecided.
Well, I got 4 votes,
Mm-hmm.
and it's 100% debunked. So everybody believes that he wasn't alone.
Okay. So Carl, what do you think, Carl?
I'm so glad you just asked me that. Yes. Well, when people say that he was after the CIA and the military-industrial complex, what you're basically saying, he was taking on the deep state. Basically. So he was whacked.
Mm-hmm.
Lee Harvey Oswald did not work alone.
No.
So I guess that makes me debunk then.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
100%.
Okay. All right. All right, Abby. You're gonna take a stand today?
I'm debunked.
You're debunked. Okay.
Debunked. Yeah, he wasn't the lone gunman. I believe he was the patsy.
All right. Cool. I'm pretty much on that too. Wookie, what do you think, man?
Oh yeah, he's Patsy Cline all over the freaking place. I don't even think he was up on that floor of the building, to be honest with you. And the reason why I say that is because his fingerprints were not on the rifle until after he was already in jail or dead, and they got his fingerprints on the rifle after that. Before that, they couldn't find prints. But yeah, definitely debunked.
Well, I don't think. I don't think that Lee Harvey Oswald was like innocent as the pure driven snow.
No,
I think he was up to his eyeballs in a lot of shady shit. And but I do think he thought he was going to be the contact man and kind of like the guy, the forward guy. And I think he thought that day that he was just basically might have been in the supposed to be a lookout or something, a spotter. But once he got arrested and the gun, was showed up in the book depository, and suddenly that guy got shot like just a block away from his house. And then they were blaming it on him. I think he kind of like saw the writing on the wall. But maybe he thought he could still make a deal, and but then they're like, okay, let's murder the shit out of him before he figures out that he's sewed up.
Yeah, they had to take him out ASAP because he even said to reporters he wanted to talk to somebody. He wanted a lawyer. He wanted to talk to somebody.
He said he hadn't even talked to a lawyer yet. Yeah. He said he hadn't talked to a lawyer yet.
Yeah. So there was a lot of shady shit going on around him. Probably the Dallas police, FBI, CIA, Secret Service, you name it.
Don't forget the mob, because the mob helped get Kennedy elected, and then Bobby started going after him.
The mob, the mob worked with the CIA for years, starting in World War II. So the mob was always the ones that do the wet work here in the States to take out politicians and shit. The CIA did it overseas. So, yeah.
Well, maybe you just agree with us, Time Prophet. Maybe you're agreeing with us, Time Prophet. You narcissist.
I just thought of something. When did BlackRock come into being? I mean, did Lee Harvey Oswald have an advert done with BlackRock or some shit?
No.
I don't know. I think Lee Harvey was a communist. He didn't like capitalism.
Well, here's the thing. People that actually were in the military with Oswald or worked with Oswald said that wasn't him. He wasn't like that.
Mm-hmm.
This picture that's back here, this backdrop that we have here, I believe that picture of Lee Harvey Oswald is not Lee Harvey Oswald. I think that's either Photoshop, the early stages of Photoshop, or it was a double. Because you see, he was spotted in 3 different places in town at the same freaking time, on 2 different occasions, and there has to be some sort of a body double or something like that took this picture. Why would you take a freaking picture like that? Anyway, who does that with a newspaper to show the date? I wouldn't have done shit.
Yeah, nobody does that.
I mean, no way. No, nobody does that.
Well,
let's look at it like this. It's like all the freaking morons these days that go on social media committing crimes.
Yeah.
Stupid.
Yeah, B-Dog says, I've heard this before about Oswald body double. Yeah, because he was seen in multiple places at the same time. The case of points
they actually, I've actually seen a picture of a Russian agent who looked exactly like him. I mean, almost exactly like him, just a little bit more round in the face. And so that's they definitely know a person that the Russians had in their employ that looks exactly like him. So,
well, here's the thing. I don't think the Russians would have wanted to kill Kennedy because Khrushchev and Kennedy actually were getting along. Even though the Bay of Pigs happened, or not the Bay of Pigs, but the blockade, even though that, we came so close to nuclear war, but they worked it out. The Cuban Missile Crisis, they worked it out. And Khrushchev and Kennedy were getting along to a degree. And Khrushchev respected Kennedy. Same with Fidel Castro. Fidel Castro told somebody that Kennedy is a man that you can negotiate with. And he was very happy that they had a president that he could negotiate with, and he was looking forward to negotiating with Kennedy. And then when they found out he got assassinated, he told somebody in his entourage that they killed Kennedy and because they want war. So,
okay, so there's a trifecta here. He was planning to pull out of the Vietnam War. Go ahead, put it up. Go ahead. All right, there you go. I played that earlier. I showed that earlier, if that was what you were giggling about. Anyway, but there was a trifecta here that he was going to pull out of Vietnam. He pulled out of the Bay of Pigs right before the Bay of Pigs happened, and so a lot of the CIA blamed him for that.
Oh yeah.
And then Bobby Kennedy was going after the mob, and so according to files was CIA, and he was also involved with the mob, and he said that the CIA and the mob, both in conjunction, were the ones that assassinated Kennedy. But then everybody else, like FBI, were involved in the cover up. So this was like all hands on deck.
So you're saying it was the parkour mafia that off Kennedy.
The parkour mafia, baby.
Is that what you're telling me?
Well, we have to get that in there somehow.
Yeah. Anyway. All right. So let's so thank you all for coming.
Yep.
So thank you all for coming tonight. Thank you to the usual parkours and for the fluffiest chat and all the YouTube on my channel. I don't know what Wookie calls his, but thank you all for coming. And next week is going to be a cryptid of some sort. We'll figure it out. But this cryptid week. And so thank you all for coming to our show tonight. Man Bear Pig. Probably not. Probably not. But we'll figure something out.
Jesus Christ.
Anyway, so thank y'all for coming. We'll talk to you next week. What's your show on tomorrow?
What's that?
Yeah, a show tomorrow.
Yeah. Yep.
You're not going to do a show tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm doing a show tomorrow. 8 a.m. Yeah.
8 a.m.
What's the show on? Do you have a topic?
Oh, Oh yeah, we're going to be talking a little bit about current news involving Trump destroying everything, and we're going to talk a little bit about a comic. There's a new comic book coming out. DC is having a comic book coming out. We're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk a little bit about. We're going to talk a little bit about the Marvel, the X-Men '97 original director, producer guy that got fired. There's a blurb about him in the news, and we're going to be looking at different types of breakfast foods.
Breast foods? What?
Breakfast foods, yeah.
Breakfast
foods.
Okay.
Breakfast. I was going to say, well, that just went tits up, didn't
Breakfast
it?
foods.
Okay.
You will find out tomorrow. You'll find out
All right.
tomorrow.
On that note, have a boob night. Have a very boob night.
night.
All right.
Okay.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.
So this is Pups. All right.